Hello everyone, in this video we talk about Minecraft Legends and I'm going to share my review, my opinion about the game, the goods and the bads and the things that I'm excited about the most. Now I have to be honest with you, when the first was announced and I saw gameplay, I didn't even know what this game is all about. It still confused me. And first I thought, well, it's all about me and, unlocking things for myself, for my character, like gear and new weapons. Well, no. In this game, you're gonna command an army of allies that will help you combat other enemies. And I love it because it reminds me so many other games where, you get control armies like Total War series, Company of Heroes, Age of Empires, StarCraft, Command and Conquer. So basically creating an army and preferably controlling them in real time. And of course the game brings many elements from the Minecraft world, including of course the look and feel of the game, the ability to craft items from resources. It features different game modes, it features a campaign, PvE modes, and player versus player PvP. So it's both a co-op game and also a competitive game. So at the beginning you can choose the different type of modes. There's a campaign, versus mode which is competitive PvP, Lost Legends, which is kind of a crafted experiences. I have one game mode, for example, that is kind of a wave mode, and I expect of course more to be added, and a marketplace.
Hello!
I hope you're feeling okay. That kind of trip always upsets my stomach.
Thank you for having the courage to come. I am Foresight.
I'm Action.
And I'm Knowledge.
I wish we had met under different circumstances, but this world is under attack, and we need your help. Foul creatures known as the piglins have emerged from their fiery home, and they mean to conquer this peaceful land.
Yeah, and this is your objective. You need to repel piglin invasion. That's your goal in the campaign. And you are recruited by those three caretakers of the world. On the right is Action, in the middle Knowledge, and on the left Foresight. And you'll be given different tools. The legendary loot that allows you to spawn allies that can gather resources and build structures. This one is Flames of Creation. It allows you to spawn, well, allies, mobs, in order to help you in battle. And the Banner of Courage, well, this is the one that actually you can command your army using different commands like gather, direct. And other advanced options we're going to talk about just a bit later. You're also going to start with a mount, and more by the way can be discovered in the wild. So your first one is a horse, and you also have your sword, which you can use to, well, fight piglins. And no worries if you don't know a lot about the game, you want a tutorial, there's an optional tutorial which you can take upon starting the campaign. So if you decide to skip it, you can, but I recommend doing it for the first time. And in the campaign, you're going to roam and explore a beautiful, beautiful open world. You're going to gather resources with your allies, you're going to fight piglins, you're going to protect the villages, you're going to unlock new allies who can help you in battle, you're going to make upgrades, and so on. For example, at the beginning of the campaign, you need to attack piglins that attack one of the villages, and you need to protect them, quickly build your army, and fight them. Yeah. You. Eat. Keep in mind that your sword doesn't actually deal damage to any structures. It's all about you fighting piglins with it, and of course if you want to deal damage to structures, you need to command your army to do so. Oh! All over the place! No! Now the campaign is day and night cycles. At night you're going to find that more piglins attack, stronger piglins will try to attack your bases. Sometimes they won't attack at all, sometimes they can attack one or even more of your villages and other structures that you actually put in the world. So you need to make sure to protect them as well. This you do by building defensive and offensive structures. You can build walls, you can build stairs, you can create gates. And there's also structures that allows you to create upgrades for much stronger structures. And again, of course, you need resources. One of the most valuable resources, or at least the one that you need to craft buildings with and make upgrades, it's called Prismarine. And the only way to get it is by attacking and demolishing enemy structures. And this gives you an incentive to go and find enemies' camps and try to demolish their structures in order to get this resource. There's also a map that can show you points of interest. There's a compass at the top, and basically the UI is very well made. It's very easy to understand what each thing does and command your army and find the right location to go to. You can even put a mark on the map, as you can see with a yellow arrow, and you can just go there and see it in the compass. But of course, not everything is revealed to you. You need to explore the world, you need to reveal and find and locate different valuable resources. There are even chests around the map which you can find, which give you, of course, extra loot. So if you wonder what happened when you die, well, you just spawn in a village, basically, and you can continue playing. I mean, other than that, there's not really any punishment. Enemy camps, you're going to see them on the map, but you can see they have kind of a red ground, which you can actually build all structures, is actually restricted. Only some structures, like for example the bridges, stairs, can actually build, because sometimes you need to get to high elevation and you need to use a certain structure together. And you're going to find quite of them, of course, in the wild. Some of them will appear dynamically as piglins will continue build their bases throughout the land. And of course, as I mentioned, as you progress, you're going to unlock lots of different type of structure. This is, by the way, from the PvP, but the same goes to the campaign and other game modes. These are called melodies. There are different categories for them. You can find for combat, for building structures, for upgrades, and for gathering resources. And I haven't mentioned yet, but the game can be played both with a controller and a keyboard. And for me, it played equally well. I started with a keyboard and then realized, well, how good it is actually to play with a controller. Both of them are viable. Both of them are very easy to use. Now, the campaign structured very, very well. And to be honest, I see this kind of an introduction to the game because, again, for me, the main thing was actually the player versus player. The competitive game mode, up to 4 versus 4 players, which features procedure generated world, which each time you start, you're going to find yourself in a world that has different biomes, different type of resources available, sometimes close to you, sometimes far away from you, and you need to strategize around that. And the goal of the PvP is trying to destroy the enemy's base and protect yours from being destroyed. And the same thing as the campaign is available here. You need to protect your base with structures, you can put spawners to have your army. There's also PvE element. By that I mean that you can actually fight NPCs as well that will try, especially at night, will try to attack your bases. So it's not like only players, but also other NPCs that can also pose threat to your base as well. Now, the reason this game really shines in PvP because it gives you an extra layer of strategy, and other players of course can find other strategies to try to attack your base, and there's so many ways you can actually construct things, decide to be aggressive or more defensive, and which type of structures to build for. There's so many ways to take things into consideration. The game gives you great degree of control how you can control your army, your mobs. Basically, you can control and give control to specific ones, a group of them, a specific one in categories, all in a category, or just all of the mobs at the same time. For example, you can send forward just the healers and the melee, or just the melee, and make the ranged ones stay with you. Lots of ways to actually carefully control how you manage your army. Now, with my time in PvP, it was hell a lot of fun. I mean, some of the players that I play against try to really quickly build, for example, a red rock launcher, and we're able to destroy a base, and well, we weren't fast enough to actually build a structure that help us protect against strong projectiles. In other ways, we realized that, well, maybe it's just a good way to just be aggressive and attack their base, and it happened actually that we won first before them. So keeping the balance between being aggressive, defensive, or try to counter and get some, information what the other players are doing are crucial in this game. And one of the things that I was disappointed the most is that, at least as of this time, we don't have a rank system in versus mode, the PvP mode. So this leads me to think there are going to be some, well, unfair matches. For example, if some players will be ranking against other more skilled players, that can lead to a problem with the matchmaking experience in general. And the other thing is just getting incentive, to put more effort into ranking up and getting better. And of course, competing against others at the same level. Now, a few last words about PvP. Maybe it's too early for me, to say that, but I just felt it. I want to share is that it felt that, well, the meta is pretty narrow because again, it felt like if you want to win, either go with lots of golems or you're gonna build a red rock launcher, and these are kind of the two main things to actually win the game. And some of the units, like for example, the golem feels just a bit more too much durable, and for example, the regular launcher also felt a bit too strong. And maybe if there are more units and things can they kind of tone down for the other units, maybe it will lead to more better strategies, generally speaking. Because if some are very, very strong and, you know, everything kind of narrow to very, very few strategic ways, it's very predictable and matches will be kind of very similar each time. When more units are added and things are more toned down, there are more variation to actually counter things, and players need to think about unique strategies rather than going with like something very, very, you know, specific in order to win. So I would say that it feels like the game will benefit with the more units and better balancing overall. But again, I haven't played so many matches to really be 100% about that, but it feels like it from the time that I did play PvP. But overall, I had so much fun in the game and I just wanted more. The replay value is there, the different game modes are amazing, and you need to try to play on the highest legend difficulty of the campaign so you can see how hard it is. It's actually nuts. And again, because the PvP was the highlight for me in this game and there's such a high replay value to it as well, I want to be able to, you know, to get to higher rank and get rewarded for it. Maybe unlock, you know, a new character because I reach, for example, a high rank in the competitive and versus mode. And this is not something that we need to invent, right? It's already there in many competitive games, and I'm sure it can be a very welcome feature in Minecraft Legends as well. But I need to be honest with myself, even the other competitive games like Pokemon Unite, Overworld and Valorant, even though I really like having ranks, I play them casually eventually. I don't spend a lot of time just on this game. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter that much. Now I want to share this, I know the review is pretty long, but really this is something in my head, how the game actually can further be improved. Well, basically I think that more units will need more variety of ways to actually have good winning conditions, and it's kind of spread up more and give up more counters to actually try to counter other type of strategies that other players are doing. This leads to more dynamic cat and mouse type of gameplay until a hole in the defenses is found that can be breached. I think that adding more units down the road to mix and refresh the meta every now and then is a good thing, because I think that variety of winning condition is important both for the fun factor and strategic planning. Again, just having more variety of things to do. I also thought that it would be amazing if it was kind of more external option. For example, just out of my head, like weather condition where some units can benefit from and maybe become stronger at that point. More dynamic, kind of a global effect that will make players change their strategy, like modifiers for each run. Again, all procedure generated, so it won't be predictable. Maybe specific zone that can lead to much higher resource gathering that players will fight to get them early on. Like bases that can be captured, and if they are yours, they can generate resources for you. So main focus won't be just the base, but other zones on the map that players will try to fight for. Basically kind of more dynamic events that give players some conditions to win if they are even in a situation where they think there's no chance, give them that an option to really get out of it. So for example, if your upgrades structures are lost, it's very, very hard to get back to the game and win. I also thought about maybe, you know, it's kind of similar to maybe mobile when you have a big boss and you think about, all right, I'm going to fight for it, going to give me lots of resources, some kind of boost, temporary boost, and players will try to fight and win against that boss, but at the time they're going to expose their best if they're actually doing so. I think it can actually be a good idea. And again, I'm also looking at that in a more competitive point of view, seeing the game that can have tournaments, who knows, maybe esports at some point. And as the core gameplay is amazing, the developers can always add those rank features later on and maybe add modifiers. So as long as the core gameplay is fun, this is the most important thing. From that point on, things can be added on top of it. Now again, regarding modifiers, I just want to say something like maybe piglins are 20% stronger, they're going to be maybe much less trees, so resources need to fight for. Maybe epic boss can enter the level at some point. Piglins can be much more aggressive as the match progresses, so players can push, like in a MOBA, with the piglins as well and try to attack the enemy's base. Again, there's so many ways that I think this can be further improved, just a few things out of my head. Tell me what you think about them. So with matchmaking, they're mostly kind of based on random matchmaking and with no built-in voice communication VC inside the game, so we rely on external software in order to do that, like Discord. And of course, most players won't do that, and without communication, this game is pretty hard to play. I'm telling you that because, again, I play with and without, and definitely this game requires voice communication to really have the most fun and, of course, have, play well. So without that, it's actually kind of impairing the gameplay experience in PvP. And also, there's no something like that punish players for, well, I don't know, deleting matches. I mean, not that I'm aware of, and this means that players can just, rage quit matches, and if the topography is not good for them, they're just gonna quit and gonna leave. And I hope that it won't be the case, but it might lead to situations where players just ditching matches and you start a match, players leaving, and so on, and can lead to really bad PvP gameplay experience in general. So when it comes to competitive gameplay, there are some things that need to be pretty strict and are common in many competitive games for a good reason. And without them, things can easily get out of control. Even some of them, when you're taking them out, things get out of control. So let alone, many things actually don't exist. And again, you need to remember that I communicate with those that I play via Discord, and none of them will leave a match. But without actually being able to text other players in game to have voice communication and playing with random people in matchmaking, and without being punished, maybe things will be implemented. Right now, there's nothing like that I know of. How the PvP gaming experience would be like. And you need to understand that with a ranking system, if you're able to rank up, you're gonna get less of those issues when you rank up. But without having any ranking system, you'd continuously get a situation where you find yourself playing with random people that can, well, just rage quit or do things that usually you don't find in players that take the game very, very seriously in higher ranks. Now, of course, when you bring those things like voice control in game, this brings also lots of issues, like players can be toxic, for example. But again, there are ways to tackle that, like, for example, introducing some kind of a ways for players to only be able to communicate with their friends and not random people. I mean, there are ways for some parental filter controls that can be added to the game. But again, none of that actually exists right now. So we need to see how it goes, but these are important things to note. And yeah, I mentioned it in my review, so keep this in mind. And things get even more important because for me, the PvP was actually the highlight of the game, kind of the main thing compared to the other game modes. It has the best repel value, and for me it was the most fun among all the other game modes. Aside from that, there's also some good accessibility options like text-to-speech and text size, 3 different colorblind modes, variety of language support for both text and voice, and the game plays really well with both keyboard and mouse in controllers. The procedural generated worlds add so much excitement and make each match feel unique and interesting and fresh. There's also matchmaking, region select, and the music is fantastic. So again, with the time I played the game until the review, I had amazing time, especially in PvP. But for the hardcore competitive RTS gamer, it might be not good enough. But oh boy, it's fun with family and friends. Thanks for watching.